Was Peggy Sue Peter Dutton?
I didn't make that up. That was everyone on TikTok. I don't want to get sued, okay?
It's so random, and yet in a really strange sort of way. I think it played a part in affecting the outcome of an election.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Peter Dutton.
Kayla Jade. Do I call you Kayla? Or are you the full blue-eyed Kayla Jade?
Yeah, call me Kayla. That's my name.
Welcome to No Filter.
Thanks for having me.
And often, you know, when we have guests on the pod, we have to remind them that the show is called No Filter. But I don't think that I have to remind you.
No, pretty much, I post a little bit too much on the internet, so I'm sure we won't have a problem today.
But you're very interesting because you are, among many things, a sex worker, and you have really stepped into yourself and the truth of your life, firstly in a professional capacity, but also in a personal capacity that I think has kind of changed things.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you know, it hasn't been anything that's planned. It's all just come naturally. So I'm sort of learning as I go to, you know, be a content creator, because I guess I had dabbled a bit in it before, but never to this level. So it's just like a whole learning curve and, you know, adapting to my audience to make sure that I'm, you know, giving out the best information and, you know, telling the raws of it as well, and not trying to just like make it seem like it's all glitz and glamour, because, you know, it's definitely not the industry that is like that. There's a lot of bad stuff to it too. So I guess just from the start, you know, showing that every side of it.
When you were little, growing up in New Zealand in a small town, who was Kayla Jade then? What were you like as a kid?
I guess like little me, like I always had like a good family life, social life, but I guess in a way I always struggled a little bit throughout school because I had ADHD, but I was undiagnosed. So I guess a lot of my life I was thinking like, you know, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I, you know, act a certain way or be normal in a way? And like ADHD was just never on the cards for me, because it, like, especially in females, it's much harder to diagnose because I wasn't like the hyper kid at school. You know, I was actually quite quiet and just like, I was always just chill throughout my whole life, probably a little bit too chill that I'm just like away with the fairies and have no idea what's going on. But as soon as I was diagnosed, like later in life, when I was about like 29, it was only a couple years ago, I was just like, it makes so much sense why I was like this as a child, and, you know, why I acted a certain way, and why I always had to ask, you know, my friends around me what's going on, because I just had no idea. And so I guess a lot of that, like getting diagnosed, was definitely like, you know, another piece to the puzzle, like, oh, this makes so much sense.
When you were growing up, what was so you said you just had like kind of a traditional family, very close, fun. It was you and your sister?
Yeah, I would say just like a middle-class family, you know. We got by.
So when you felt that you were a little bit different to everybody else, but not necessarily, it sounds like, in a bad way.
No.
Did you always feel that you had a story to tell?
Honestly, like, no. I had no idea what was going to happen in my life or my future. Like, I don't know if it's part of like an ADHD thing, but I never thought past the present day, really. So I was just like, I guess my personality type have always been like, go with the flow, whatever happens, happens. If it's good, great. If it's not, we'll get through it. That's just always been like the way I've worked. So I've never really thought of, you know, coming here today and telling my story. It's crazy. Because, like, you know, you grow up in a small town and, like, a lot of people around you, like, I just thought everyone was just doing the same thing. And I guess I thought that was going to be my trajectory as well.
What did you think that trajectory was going to be? Like, what would your life have looked like?
I had no idea.
Yeah, but you had your
I was just
boyfriend.
taking it as it comes.
So it would have been kind of settling down, quite traditional.
Yeah, when I moved to Australia, that's when I met my ex-partner. But yeah, in New Zealand, I was just sort of floating around and trying different things.
And what was your impetus that made you – I mean, this is a crazy question to ask a New Zealander because there's so many of you guys here, but what made you come across the Dutch?
What made me come across? Just opportunity, you know, like obviously in New Zealand we have lower wages and everything's much more expensive. So living there is hard. And, you know, I would see a lot of my friends just, I guess, get into drugs or like drink every day because that's all they knew. And, you know, they were just working the regular jobs. And I just knew that like I didn't want that for my life. Like I just saw, you know, my friends go through that, my family go through that. So I had an opportunity where it was like a sliding doors moment. I was like, I can move to Australia and see what happens, or I can stay here and just do this for the rest of my life. So I just chose like, right, I'm pretty impulsive. So I was just like, fuck it, booked a flight the next day and was like, okay, we're gone. Bye. And that's what happened.
And then you landed where?
Gold Coast, yes.
Yeah,
so I moved over here and I knew like one person here, but I had no family or friends. I was staying in a random share house with like 2 other guys and a couple, and I was just sort of figuring everything out. And yeah, I was just lucky that it worked out.
It sure did work out. At what point did you go, oh, there's something happening here? Was it your first TikTok that changed things?
No, actually. So it just happened randomly. Like I didn't expect it. When I started, because I started OnlyFans actually. It was after the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And I just saw so many amazing women making so much money and getting the money themselves, you know, not giving it to anyone else, and making a lot of bank. So it just naturally clicked in me. I was like, I think I can make money through this. And yeah, I had no idea. I had no sex worker friends. So I had to basically Google how to make an OnlyFans. And yeah, I just started straight away. I was like, if I'm going to put this stuff out there, I'm going to go all out. And that's what I did. I had no social media following. I actually started posting on Reddit randomly.
Oh.
And that's where I got a lot of, because I was posting in a lot of subreddits, and there's a lot of like kink subreddits. So I was just posting. Like I lived and breathed that for the first like little while. And then I started on Instagram and did a couple collabs, and that's like collabing with other girls. I was like, that's when they were like, oh, you should try TikTok. And I was like, okay, I'll try TikTok. And back then it was sort of when everyone was doing like kind of more dancing skits and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was doing like a few random things, but I didn't take it seriously. It wasn't until I started doing full service work that I just started posting what I was doing, and somehow people started watching it. So, yeah.
When you say that you started doing full service work, like how was that transition for you? Like what was the moment where you went, oh, I can value add here?
Yeah, well, I guess like I had dabbled in it a little bit previously, but never to this extent. So with my OnlyFans, you know, I traveled the world like collabing with really big names, and I made like a big name for myself in that industry. So I guess I was just kind of in the mindset of like, okay, what can I do next? How much money can I save in a short amount of time? So that's when I had friends throughout the industry that were in-person workers. So I was like learning from them. I was like, okay, maybe I can make more money from this. I feel like I have the experience now through sex work that it just happened like so naturally. But I'm so glad that I had that experience in sex work before I got into the in-person work, because if I had just started in-person work like when I was fresh 18, I probably would have got myself into some really shitty situations. So yeah, it's kind of like just timing, everything worked out right. I just really wanted to get my savings up and, you know, invest in some more property. So I was like, I just need to buckle down. And yeah, that's what I did. And it's done really well.
It has done really well. Because there was, of course, the period, I think I first saw you, like a lot of people, when you'd be doing your money show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like
the money counts.
wads and wads of money, of cash. And then you've kind of stepped aside from that. So you've always had this capacity to be very open and share a lot, but also you've kind of monitored yourself as well.
Totally. I think it's about like, adapting and changing, And yeah, I guess with the money counts, I got to a point, like when I first started on TikTok, I started with the 0 following. Like I started a brand new page. When I was posting the money counts, I was posting, for my sex worker friends, just for shits and giggles, to be like, whatever, like I'm just going to post what I'm doing. If anyone likes it, go for it. And then it got to the point where it blew up so much, and the money counts started becoming a little bit icky for me. I just felt like, if girls were like scrolling through TikTok and they saw this like giant money counts, and then they didn't actually like click on my page and like look at my other videos where I talk about like the dangers of sex work and like other things like that. If they just saw those videos, then they would be like, hey, like I can make this money too, and not realize what I actually had to do to get that money. So it just naturally, I was like, probably for a couple months, I was like, I think I'm going to stop them. And that was a hard transition for me because I felt like that's what I blew up on. So I was like, no, but like, should I keep doing it? I don't know. But then it just naturally came that I was just like, nah, I don't think I can do these anymore. So
interesting too, because security is always a big thing for every woman, really.
Exactly.
And I was thinking Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was another reason why I stopped, especially because a lot of other sex workers started doing it as well. And I was like, I'm really careful about safety, but if someone on here lives, if someone's doing it and then like not so much, or they're a bit younger, I was just worried like, that could put a target on their back, but like them posting money counts and not being careful of like location and things like that. So yeah, I thought it was in everyone's best interest to stop the money counts.
Interesting, because obviously when you were doing this, and this seems like it happened fairly rapidly, that you achieved this kind of level of success that you could actually measure by the wad of cash in your hand. Do you know what I mean? So your family back in New Zealand, how aware were they at that point of like your new pursuit?
Well, they sort of had time to adjust at the fact that I was a sex worker before the TikTok came because, I was on OnlyFans. I've been on OnlyFans for the past like 4 years. So, they learned pretty soon because I did well in the OnlyFans world as well. So they learned fairly quickly that I became a sex worker. But by the time like the TikTok came, they were so used to my shenanigans. They were like, yeah, you go off, queen. Like,
and when you say to your parents, oh, this is the work that I'm going to do, or this is the work that I'm doing, who do you have that conversation with first?
Well, they actually had the conversation with me because they found out. I actually didn't tell them, no. So because I didn't think that I was going to do it for that long, honestly. Like when I started the OnlyFans, I was like, I'm probably going to do this for a bit, make a bit of money, and then just like leave it. I didn't think it would blow up into this big career. So I was just sort of doing it and like not really telling anyone. And then obviously they found out, word of mouth. And I guess they just immediately straight up was like, hey, like what's going on? Do you have OnlyFans? And my mum was a little bit, I guess, just worried about me and my safety and everything. She didn't really know how OnlyFans operated. Like in her idea, she had like, sort of 90s porn sets or something. Like she was freaking out. But then when she came over and just, saw how happy I was and, how it wasn't like as scary as it seems, they slowly got adjusted to it. But with me, like, I'm just like, if I want something, I'm stubborn as fuck. I would do it. And I don't care, if someone's not happy about it, well, that's their problem. Like if I'm happy, like I'm going to do it regardless. So I feel like there was nothing anyone could say that would be like, oh, actually, I won't do this.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people will ask me, like, what do your parents think of your work? And I'm like, I'm fucking 30. I'm a full grown adult. Like, it should not matter what my parents think about my work. You know what I mean?
No, it shouldn't matter. But then there's just something often in that child-parent relationship where it doesn't matter how old you are. Like before my dad died, he was 89. I would still hide from him if I wanted to have a cigarette at a party or what. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah. I'm actually the most open I am now with my family than I've ever been. Like I think just me opening up, talking about my life online has just made me so open with them, because throughout my life I struggled a lot with mental illness. I had eating disorders when I was younger and I was so closed off to them for a long period of time. And I think just my mentality from the eating disorder, I had that mindset of around my family, you know, I had that like closed off mindset. So now just being so open and talking about things has just, opened up our relationship so much.
It's funny because, you know, the saying, the truth will set you free. And you seem to have found increasingly so much freedom in no longer hiding aspects of your life, even from the people that you share things with.
I just got to the point where I was just like, I really don't care. Like, there was so much like ups and downs at the start when I first started. Like I had a family member like screenshot all my content and send it to all my family. And I had so much shit at the start that it just got to a point where I'm just like, whatever. Like I honestly don't care. This is me and I'm so over hiding who I am and what I want to do, you know? So as soon as I was like, I have a OnlyFans, I'm a sex worker, take it or leave it. I think I just became more like, I just let go of caring so much about what other people thought of me. Because like, I guess like, especially me growing up, I was very much like a people pleaser and wanted to make sure everyone's like okay and happy. And then I just got to a point where I was just like, I don't care. Like if I'm happy, like that's all that matters. And if people are not happy that I'm happy, well, you probably don't want them in your life anyway. You've definitely learned, like being a sex worker, you learn people's true personalities. Like they come out. You know, if someone like doesn't like you, if they're hiding something, they will show you their true colors. So it's a blessing in disguise in some ways.
Do you think that with your knowledge of humanity now that it changes the way that you deal with like the entire world, the people that you meet socially?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think especially like males, I've become a master of identifying their personality. Probably within the first 5 seconds of meeting one, I know exactly what kind of person they are. So yeah, I think it's just made me, because you're just meeting new people all the time and adapting that, like you're processing all these different personalities. You get to really easily find out who someone is just by looking at them. Yeah, it's quite funny. It's like my little superpower now.
Because I heard you say, and I think it was on your Storytime pod, that you probably won't have a relationship now until you finish with sex work.
Yes, definitely.
And I thought to myself, how can you control that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you stop that pull to someone when you have that attraction to them? Or
well, I guess I'm just not in the mindset of dating at the moment, because throughout my life, I've always been in a relationship from the time I was like 14 years old up until I had kids. So I feel like I'm just in my era of wanting to make money and setting myself up to make money. And I know that if I get into a relationship, that's going to slow me down. I guess my mentality now is if I get into a relationship, it's just going to set me back in my career, in my money making, because obviously, like, I want to be with a person who, you know, is okay with me being a sex worker, but I also want to be with a person who doesn't want me to sleep with other men, you know? So I know that when I do become in a relationship, I will have to stop being a sex worker.
Yeah.
And, you know, because if they are okay with me sleeping with other men, I feel like either they're with me just for my name or money, or they really don't care about me, or, you know. So I want to be with someone who
only wants you to be with them.
Yeah.
I
see a lot of sex workers go throughout, like, relationships. It's very rare that, like, you know, they have like a guy who's okay with them sleeping with other people, because that's like not much a normal thing. When I eventually get into a relationship, it's when I'm ready to settle down, and that's not yet. I want to make my money and, you know, set up my kids, set up myself, and then I can think about it.
When you are attracted to someone, it's kind of a normal thing to be territorial about them. So what you're saying is a guy who'd be, yeah, that's okay, keep up your sex work, is not the person that you want to be with.
No. And I know that if I get into a relationship now, that means I'm going to have to stop my sex work, and I'm not ready to do that yet.
When you're reaping the rewards of what you've built and extending yourself in different ways, that's not a sexual pun. That's just you really are exploring different parts of yourself. How do you know when the point will be to stop?
I feel like I will know when the time comes. Like, I have never planned anything throughout my entire life. So this is probably going to be one of those things where I will keep making money. If I keep making money doing this, then I'm happy. But if it gets to a point where I don't make money anymore, then maybe I'll settle down. But it's just that thing where, like, I feel like a lot of sex workers had said, like, you will know when you no longer want to be in the industry. Like, there's something that just clicks inside you and you're just like, nah, I'm done. So I feel like I will have that turning point once I've burnt myself out, but hopefully I would have set myself up enough to, you know, be okay with stepping back. So yeah, I would just have to see when the time comes, really.
Because if you're waiting for the money to dwindle, the money is never going to dwindle for Kayla Jade.
I mean, you never know. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of sex workers that are still making good money in their 50s, so 50s, 60s, which is crazy. But I feel like you just mentally, I might tap out before then. I just never know.
Yeah.
So it just depends on my mental health, really, whether I can keep doing it or not.
You know, you talk about your mental health a lot and happily talk about how it's improved. What is the toll that sex work takes on your mental health?
I mean, it depends on the person, really, because if you're doing sex work and you feel any sort of shame about sex work, or you don't enjoy having sex and you're putting yourself and your body through these situations of meeting up with strangers and having sex with them, like, that's going to your mental health. So that's why I always tell girls, like, if you want to get into sex work, like, make sure you actually feel like you're going to enjoy it. Try it out, because it's not for everyone. And some people will just immediately get burnt out. But I feel like because I've dealt with a lot of things throughout my life, I felt like it's just made me a rock in a way, and really I can, you know, do a lot of things that if I didn't go through that stuff, I probably wouldn't be ready for.
You refer quite often to how your mental health has improved, and the uptake in happiness is really apparent in you. How have you made that happen?
I think just from having the time and freedom and money just to be my own boss. I never thought growing up, like, you know, I always struggled with school. I never thought that I would have a career where I could make money. So the fact that I'm here now and able to spend time with my kids and just have the freedom to be like, you know what, let's just go to Europe tomorrow. We need a break. Just having that freedom just to spend time with them is just so rewarding. And it gives me so much happiness. Like, money is a big struggle. Like, I've struggled with money throughout my whole life until I became a sex worker. I had duct tape covered all over my car because I couldn't afford a new car. You know, I've lived paycheck to paycheck for most of my life. So I know money struggles, and not having money struggles now is just a huge relief.
And money will buy you time as well.
Yeah.
And people who say money can't buy happiness have never been poor.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Struggle and it will buy you a bit of happiness.
But yet because you're an industry now, everything comes from you. There's a lot of pressure on you to keep going, to reinvent. Do you sometimes feel like you're coming close to being burnt out or not wanting to go on or pivot into some other area?
Yeah, I definitely do have times where I just have, a full mental B and I'm like, I'm f***ing done. I'm doing something else. But I don't think I'll ever change being a sex worker, for now, because I do love what I do. And I love the freedom that it gives you to be able to change and adapt. So, if I was like, nah, I'm done with in-person, I don't want to do it anymore, I have other avenues where I can go to.
Now I imagine that when you go to meet people in person, that you've got a different status now. So it's almost like, you getting the call-ups from celebrities to, fly to LA or whatever. Who was that, by the way? I know you're not going to tell me. Who was it?
I mean, it's under NDA, so I can't, unfortunately. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people have guessed it. Let's just say that.
Okay, I'm going to go and read it.
But I had that, I guess, before the TikTok, the celebs and stuff. So that was pretty normal to me. And I guess when you meet them, you're like, oh, they're just a normal person. It's so fine.
Yes, but now my point is that now when people meet you, you are the celebrity to them.
Gotcha.
So there are guys that are like, I want to be with Kayla, Jade, yeah. So the status of your status, your power in relation to them has shifted.
Yeah, I guess so. In some ways. I still feel normal, so I just feel my regular self.
No, but what I mean is that if there are boundaries that you don't want crossed or things that you might find degrading or whatever, are they less likely now to kind of try and breach that because they're with you?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I've always been pretty strong in my boundaries, obviously apart from some circumstances that were out of my control. But yeah, I would guess now that I have a bigger name, people would be more careful of, the way they interact around me, I guess. Before, when I had a small profile, people probably thought they could take more advantage or things like that. But I've always been pretty careful with where I put myself in situations.
Are there situations you've been in where you've thought, I don't want this?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And that's just, it's just a learning curve. Yeah. I've had situations where, I honestly, the people have taken advantage of the situation. And that's the unfortunate thing about even OnlyFans is that anyone can become a creator, and if they have their camera right, if they have the setup, they can hire the big names, they can create a platform. A predator can easily create a platform. So I guess the biggest thing is just finding friends in the industry and checking references. That's the biggest thing.
Your ex who you seem to have quite a harmonious relationship with, and you've said the primary sort of caregiver to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you first started doing sex work, and obviously you're the mother of his kids, was he a bit territorial about you then? Was he uncertain about the path? Was he worried about the kids, the effect on the kids?
Yeah, he's a smart cookie, so he was definitely discussing with me all sorts of, the issues, like where there could be issues. We talked about it a lot, but because we had kids very young, and from the get-go we said that, like, if it wasn't going to work out, we're just going to, stick together, be like good friends for the kids, because we both love them so much that we could not do 50-50. That's just like a no. We just want to all both have them full time. So we were like, we're going to stick this out whether we're together or not. And there was some like worries with him at the start, but I feel like, he had faith in me. Like, I feel like he knew that I would do well through this. So, he put the faith in me, and it paid off, because now he can just work for me, which is great. Yeah. I mean, that's why he's always wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, and we made that life. So, yeah. A lot of people don't they kind of question they don't understand the relationship, but it's like we're both just so chill that we just don't care. Like we're just so happy being around. Like we don't fight. We're not together. We fought more when we were together, but now that sort of pressure has gone, we just become close friends, and we work together well. Like, if I ever have a situation where I'm like, this thing happened and like I don't know what to do, and like, because I've had times where I started sex work and people have like owed me money and stuff, and like he's just always sorted it for me. It's just like he's a blessing. Yeah, I couldn't have done it without him. So,
and has he repartnered, or is that a possibility for him?
Not at this stage. Yeah, we're both open. Like he can go see whoever he wants or whatever, but. We're just both at the time of our lives where we don't want a relationship. Like we both have been in a lot of relationships throughout our lives. So we just focus on the kids at the moment,
And also, speaking of being healthy, you've been very open about your BBL surgeries, both of them.
Yes.
One story is so horrific that basically is how you nearly died, which I don't know if you realised it at the time, but listening to you tell it, it's like you could have died in Turkey.
Oh, yeah. I went through everyone's worst nightmare of literally waking up on the operating table and while they're operating on me, not being able to move, being paralysed but feeling everything, and just feeling the tears run down my face but not being able to do anything. It was horrific, yeah.
And every aspect of it was botched. You had encountered a nurse that he was groping you and trying to kiss you in the lift. Mm-hmm. They put you on your bum when you're not supposed to be on your bum straight after. Yes.
So it was a time where I didn't have, I just started OnlyFans. I didn't have much money, and I'd heard that people were getting these BBLs in Turkey for 15 grand, 10 grand. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. So my impulsive self booked that in. I found a place. We were talking on WhatsApp and they seemed great. Like the English was incredible. I was sending them before and after photos and they were like, yeah, you're such a good candidate. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And went over to Turkey, and just immediately when they picked me up, no one could speak English. I didn't know what was going on. They were taking me to all sorts of different hospitals, and no one could tell me what was going on. They were trying to find the doctor and they couldn't find him, and it was a mess. And eventually when they did find the doctor, as soon as he saw me, he was like, oh, you don't have enough fat to get this surgery. And I was like, yes, I do. I have been eating 5,000 calories a day for the past 6 months to gain weight for this BBL. I know I have enough fat. I've seen much skinnier girls get good BBLs. So, I was there. I was like, I'm going to go with the surgery. So I went under and, I woke up on the operating table. Could feel, so they use this, like, metal rod to, like, get, because they take the fat out from, like, your stomach, your back, and put it in your butt. I could just feel it getting sucked out of me. It was just, like, burning, like, this fat getting sucked out of my stomach. It was nasty. And then just woke up and I was just, like, vomiting blood, like, everything. Like, my body was just malfunctioning. Like, it just wasn't coping with the stress it's been under. And, within, the next day, literally assaulted by a male nurse while I was getting changed. Well, he was changing me. And, like, in that, like, I think back to the state that I was in, like, while that was happening, I was not even a person. Like, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. And that happened. And I'm just like, imagine what else this guy has put people through. And then, like, because you wear, like, this compression suits because, like, obviously your skin's just been ripped off the fat, so it needs to start to attach again. So you're wearing this compression suit. And you have to get these lymphatic drainage massages because you just swell up so much. So when I took the faja off, which is the suit, like, I saw my body and I was like, it looks basically exactly the same. So it was like when I saw that surgeon, he was like, you're not going to get the results you want. It was like he was just setting me up for me to be like, well, he said that I wasn't going to get the result I wanted, so I guess this is it. And the fat that they did transfer, within a couple months it was gone, because if you take the fat out of your body and you don't purify it properly, they have to do this purifying process. If that isn't done properly, the fat's going to immediately die. And because I woken up on my butt, sitting on my butt, that's going to kill the fat cells as well. So there was just no chance of survival. So, within a few months, I was back to my normal self, which was really frustrating.
But a bit traumatised by the physical experience.
But a bit more traumatised, yes.
And then you had a reconstructive.
So I went to see an Australian surgeon like a year after to get it revised, and he just couldn't believe it. He looked at my back and he was like, they've literally taken just chunks of fat out of your back. Like, this is crazy. So he went in and, like, fixed it up for me and made sure it was all good. And then now I'm so happy with the results. So
the experience of that, because you seem so at one with your body now and at ease with your body, was the experience of that part of that process?
Oh, yeah. I think back to when I got my BBL and I was still so unhappy. Like, as soon as I got the BBL, I was like, what's my next surgery? It's like when you start having surgery, it plays with your mind, and then you start looking in the mirror and being like, I could tweak that. I could move this here. Like, it just messes you up so much. And I think now, like, I'm the happiest that I've been, and I don't think about surgery. I don't think about Botox. I don't think about anything because I'm just so much happier. So I think for me, I just really needed to find my happiness in who I was, because I guess throughout my life, I was always being like, okay, if I get a surgery, then I'll be happy. Or if I have this eating disorder, then I'll be happy. Like, I was always sort of masking it. And it wasn't until I just, like, I guess found my true self that I've sort of let that go and be like, that's not the most important thing anymore.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But often people can get bogged in, like you said, that cycle of, this will fix me, and working externally and thinking
especially in this industry, because, like, you're around a lot of girls and all the girls are getting surgery, they got money, they're getting surgery, they're getting this tweak, because you're relying on your parents for money. So as soon as you feel like something that needs to change, your first thought is surgery, because everyone around you is getting surgery and you're talking about it. And So yeah, I really needed to like step out of that sort of, because I felt like I was just around girls that were like talking about this stuff, and it was just triggering that back in me. So I was just like, I need to take a step back from that and just, you know, be around people who are not so like surgery focused and image focused. And now like I've found my girls in this industry, and we are just like the best friends, and, you know, we just love and support each other. And yeah, even though it's not like a big group, now I've just found my people, and, you know, I'm happy. So yeah.
Many industries, and probably more than some, there's people that don't always want the best for you, that may be motivated by envy or jealousy or competition. How did you find your girlies?
Yeah, it just happened like naturally through, because obviously when I started OnlyFans, I was collabing with a lot of girls. And I just found a couple that as soon as we met, we just clicked straight away. And then, you know, I stopped really doing collabs and distanced myself from, you know, some people in the industry. And I just stuck to my own and was like, I'm happy here. And yeah.
Hey, Kayla, what's a collab, by the way? Is it two of you or whatever having sex or doing a show or?
Yeah, so you arrange to meet with like another content creator,
right,
and you set a date, you get like, you know, test done, you have to be tested, STI tests within 2 weeks. You sign consent forms. There's like a lot of process to it. And then you meet up with them, whether it's at, you know, a house or like a hotel or whatever, and you get socials. So like, you know, pictures or reels or TikToks or whatever for the social media. And then, yeah, you'll do a scene, which is whether it's girl, boy, it depends, like whatever you're comfortable with, I guess.
In the scale of what you've achieved so far, just if you're going to talk about the sex worker space, what do you still hope to achieve?
I guess because obviously now like a lot of brands are working with me as a sex worker, which is crazy because that's just like unheard of. So I guess for me, I would just love to either like create a product or like an organization to help people. Like I love giving back, like my love language is giving. So I'm always like sending stuff to charity wherever I can. So I would just love to, yeah, sort of build something unrelated, but related in a way that.
Like in what sort of space?
Depends really. We'll see it when it comes.
In the sex worker space or?
Yeah, I guess like either, you know, making a product that, you know, I, you know, help like survival sex workers or something. Yeah, I would love to do something like that in the future. But for me, like sex work will just always be sex work. I'll either be more online or I'll be more in person. So just really depends on my mood.
We talked about the importance of the financial freedom and stuff. But when you were talking before, it occurred to me that there's possibly another aspect to it. How that in the work that you do, there's like a lot of validation, like a lot of physical validation. Yes. When you want to move away from that and into, you know, having a romantic partner, which you said you can't do at the same time as sex work or you don't want to, how do you know that you won't be hooked on that? Because a lot of people would be hooked on the compliments. Yeah,
well, I guess it's like the, you know, surgery thing in a way. Like you sort of learn, well, I know that I've learned like throughout my time to love myself more. And now that I have that sort of love for myself, like I don't necessarily rely on the validation anymore, whereas I used to rely on the validation so much. But now I feel like I'm just in a point in my life where I could take it or leave it. If it all ended tomorrow, like I would be okay with that. You know, as long as I've set myself up enough, yeah, I wouldn't really rely on it anymore. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, I did this and this is why I changed. It just sort of adapted over time. And I guess as I got older and as I sort of realized like the relationships around me, you know, care more to me, like than, you know, the online stuff or whatever. I think it just changed over time.
Was Peggy Sue Peter Dutton?
I can neither confirm or deny now. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. I didn't
course
make that
he
up.
wasn't.
I didn't make that up. That was read on TikTok. I don't want to get sued,
so random, and yet in a really strange sort of way. I think it played a part in affecting the outcome of an election.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry
crazy.
about that, Peter Dutton. But just,
yeah.
I know. It's so bizarre. It's just something that it blew up beyond me. Like, people were talking about the Peggy Sue thing. They had no idea who I was. You know, it just blew up in its whole entity. Like, but I didn't like a single comment, like, because, you know, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I didn't want to get taken down because, you know, if you were influencing something, they can easily, you know, send you a cease and desist or try and take down your accounts or something. So
it was such a strange thing to take flight. So for people who don't know, can you explain who Peggy Sue is?
Yeah, so Peggy Sue's a client of mine who likes to get pegged in the butt, which is, you know, me putting a strap on, pegging him in the butt. And I just started calling him that because I thought it was a funny name for him. It's not like I call him that like when I see him, but it was just like the internet name.
Does he know you call him Peggy Sue?
Oh yeah, he knows. He religiously stalks my TikTok every time I talk about it. Because he loves like reading comments of people talking about him. Like, he loved it when like the Peter Dutton thing blew up. Like, he just loved that he was just like this internet personality.
Right.
Yeah, he likes a lot of, you know, large members in his behind. And I would talk about it on the internet. I would talk about our dates together and, you know, what I was going to rear end him with next, I guess. And yeah, it blew up completely. Like, every time I talked about him, people love to hear it. So, yeah.
And is he, okay, so I know that you protect the confidentiality of your clients, obviously, respect. But tell us who Peggy Sue is not. Can you do that? Like, he's not a public profile figure.
Like, a lot of people were guessing, like trying to guess who he was. And I think if I said who he was, I don't know if people would be happy or disappointed. So, like, even though obviously, well, not disappointed, but I guess just like, they had this idea of who he is in their head. And, you know, he's high up in his industry, but I wouldn't say he's like a personality. So in his industry, it would be a shock factor, but not so much like in everyone's, like, you know, in celebrity culture, I guess.
Well, definitely not Peter Dutton.
No, I can say now, no Peter Dutton. It's funny though, because he got interviewed by 2 radio show hosts, and they asked him if he was Peggy Sue, and he didn't deny it. I was like, what are you like?
Would he have even known?
Yeah, he did. He was like, oh yeah, like, I've heard about it. Because everyone was just blasting his comments all on social media. Are you Peggy Sue? Are you Peggy Sue? Right. So yeah, like, some poor young intern probably had to tell him like what was going on. But yeah, they asked him and he never denied it. I was like, are you serious? Maybe he wanted to be. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he is another sex worker. I don't know.
Politicians are very poll-driven, and whatever they think is going to work with the electorate, they'll lean into it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think that didn't work in his favour. So
no, it didn't appear to.
That's all right. I'm happy with that regardless. So
in the spirit of your openness, Kayla, there surely has been a post or a story you've recounted or whatever that has still given you cause for regret?
I wouldn't say regrets. I think I'm very careful with what I do post to not try and like step on anyone's toes. You know, if I did say a story that was about a client, like I always make sure that I know that if I'm going to post it, is this going to cause me drama or is this going to be, because obviously I talk about sexual assault from, you know, either content creators or photographers that I've had, and I blast them. And like, I'll only blast you if you're doing the wrong thing, which I've had like people contact me because I have talked about those situations. And I don't feel regrets, because if you're going to do something bad, the world should know. You know what I mean?
What do they contact you with?
I guess like there was one time where I talked about a very uncomfortable situation that I had with a photographer who had booked me. So he was a photographer, but he didn't tell me he was a photographer. He had booked me for an in-person job. Oh. And then he told me how much he, you know, really liked me and how he's been trying to get in contact with me through his photography page. And just like he was just asking if I could like do things like that was just not discussed prior. So I talked about that, and, you know, he got upset that I talked about it, and, you know, it is what it is. But I don't think there's anything that I regret, because I'm very careful with what I talk about, and I'm like very strong in my morals and my values. So I think I did get cancelled for hanging out with Drake, though.
Ah, yes.
Probably regretted posting that.
Oh, Drake.
Yeah, I did. People didn't like that. But I guess, like, I just didn't know he really had allegations. Like, I knew about the song with Kendrick Lamar, but I wasn't very aware of, like, what had actually been going on. I just got invited to go to dinner with him, and then I posted about it because he didn't make me sign an NDA. So I posted about it, and it blew up, and people got pretty up in arms about the fact that I hung out with him. And he eventually told me to take down the post.
Oh,
because,
did he? Why?
You know, he had a lot of heat. Yeah, he was like, hey, yeah, can you take these down? Because he had a lot of heat in the media, and I guess this was just giving more attention to it. So, yeah, I ended up deleting the whole thing. And, yeah, that was a tricky time. Like, I wouldn't say I regret that. If I could take it back, I don't think I would, because it's a learning curve. And, you know, like, people make mistakes. Like, I'm a human being. Like, shit happens, you know? Yeah, at the time I was, like, stressed about that situation, but that's what a lot of people were telling me. Look, anyone would take up that opportunity. And for me, it wasn't necessarily just about hanging out with Drake. It's about, like, I say yes to those opportunities because the amount of people that I meet through that is just incredible, and it just gives me so many opportunities. So I guess in my head, I just had my sex worker money brain locked in. I'm like, this is going to do well for me, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And not really thinking about, you know, the consequences. So, yeah, it was a learning curve.
Life is a learning curve.
Yeah, exactly. Learning every day. At the time, I saw so many other influencers going to his concert and so many people posting about him, but no one was getting the same hate as me. So I was like, is it because I'm a sex worker that people are just, they want to find something to hate? I don't know what it was, but, you know, I don't know. It was a lot of it was a lot of hate, but, you know, it is what it is.
When your kids are at school now, is it a consideration for you how you kids only ever know the life they live anyway, and they only know their parents as their mum or their dad. But is it a consideration for you now as they're getting older how you're going to navigate school, other kids, other parents?
Yeah, well, I think we've always been super open with the kids about, obviously, to what they can handle for their age. But like, we've never had an issue so far. Like, a lot of the parents at my kids' school love me and come up to me and want to talk to me. And want to hang out. Of course, there's going to be, you know, with anything, like there could be a risk of, you know, kids saying something, but I don't think they're going to necessarily like look back at their life and think like this was a horrible life, because like, you know, both their parents just spend so much time with them, and we're so open with them, and we teach them like kindness and empathy, and they are the kindest, like most caring, amazing kids ever. So I think like people should stop worrying about what I teach my kids and maybe try and worry about what they're teaching their kids. You know, teach your kids to be less judgmental. And I think as well, like sex work is just becoming such a normal thing now. There's so much less stigma behind it that I think as they get older, it's going to be much more normal than what it was 10 years ago, you know. I think a lot of people are becoming more open-minded, and I think with my TikTok, it's been great to sort of destigmatize, like, because I'll tell my stories and people are loving and accepting of it, whereas before, like, you know, sex work was such a taboo thing. So I think just the world is changing in a great way, and treating sex workers more like normal people and not like a threat or whatever. So yeah, it's changing for the best, and like they have a great life. They're such happy kids, and they have a lot of friends around them, a lot of support from parents and teachers. So yeah.
Do you have a little dream, even though, you know, you're very much a go with the flow person? Do you have a dream that you would like to see come to fulfillment, even if it seems, you know, the most far-fetched thing in the world?
I guess just, you know, being able to like buy my kids a house each would be incredible, because, you know, we live in a time now where it's becoming impossible for that generation to buy a house. So I would love to just set them up as much as I can. And a dream of mine was to move into the country, and I've now done that.
Where do you see yourself, do you think? So now you've got the country homestead.
Yeah.
Where do you think 10 years' time will find you?
I mean, I could have never predicted 5 years ago where I would be now. So I think I've never planned anything, and I think that's always worked out in my favor. So I'm just happy to go with the flow and see where it takes me. You know, if it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, I'm happy with the time that I've had. So, yeah.
I can't imagine that it won't go well. And every time you speak futuristically, you kind of say that. But surely by now you can go, if I put my mind to something and I have my integrity behind it, it's going to go well.
Definitely.
I hope it does. I believe it will.
I just never know what to say when someone asks me that. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future, I guess. But, yeah, at the moment I'm happy, and that's all that matters.
I hope very much for your continued happiness, and keep telling your stories, because your stories are incredible.
I love telling them, you know, it comes naturally to me. So, yeah.
Do you have any stories that you haven't told before?
Yeah, like there's been a lot. Like a lot of the time I'll see regular clients that I don't talk about because, you know, there's not much to say. But then I've also had a couple celebrity times where I haven't talked about yet.
When you say yet, does that mean?
I did a story about the A-lister who I saw, who flew me halfway across the world.
In LA?
No. So it was in another place. That I've said the first part and I haven't said the second part yet. So I think I'm going to have to introduce that soon.
All right. Can you give me a little teaser?
So the first time I saw him, it was full on sex parties, orgies, a lot of intense stuff. And the second time, it was like the first time was great. Like we were at this like I was living at this like palace for a week, and there were, you'd come every day and there would just be new things every day. Like I would be lying by the pool and there's like a sketch artist sketching me, and it was just a lot of party, a lot of meeting celebrities, crazy shit. But then he invited me a second time and it got a bit intense. It got very possessive. He became a little bit obsessed.
Right, okay, because you said when you told the first part that when you came back the second time he was very different, but you didn't say in which way he was different.
Yeah.
So he became obsessed with you?
Yeah, so the first time I saw him, he was with his partner, and that was great. But the second time I rocked up and I thought it was going to be the same thing, and his partner wasn't there, and it was a very different, it was like split personality. So, yeah.
And then how did the obsession manifest?
Just messaging me, and like when I wanted to go, he would just bombard me, It was just a very different experience to the first one.
And did you feel like, because you were physically in another place and not at home, did you feel like you would have trouble getting away?
There were times where I was a little bit worried, yeah. Especially when I was like there with him, I was worried. But we got away safe and sound, so everything's a learning curve.
Yeah, everything is a learning curve. And Kayla, Jade, you have been instrumental in teaching people a lot of things.
Thank you. Yeah, I meet women every day who come up to me and are just like, tell me how like my videos have helped them or something. And I'm just like, that just makes me so happy. Like if I can make someone's day just by, giving them a little something to look forward to, like that's the best thing.
Hey, can I ask you one final question?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that sex has a spiritual component to it as well as the physical?
Like, do you mean like a connection with
Yeah, like that. Yeah, you know how different people can vibrate at different sort of levels, and there's base vibrations where people are like, oh, that's a bad vibe. And a union of two people sexually who are connected and whatever vibrates at a high level. Do you believe that?
I mean, I don't believe that in a way, like with my work, probably not so much. But if I was to see like a partner or someone who I was like really vibing, then 1000%, yeah. But with my sex work, it's like, it's work. Literally, no connection there. No connection there. I mean, I probably shouldn't say that. There would be a connection sometimes.
Oh, there'll be people with hurt feelings.
I'm like, this is a business transaction, and that's what I'm going to treat it as. They get there, they pay me, shower, do the deed, sayonara. There's no messaging after. There was only one case where early on where I did catch feelings for a client, and that was a lesson learned too.
Was that Mr. Sheffield?
Yes, yeah. Yes, he still messages me and still tries to call me. When I flew to Sydney for a podcast like a little while ago, and like as soon as he saw I was there, he was like bombarding my phone, and I'm like, no, don't go back there. And I didn't, which is good.
Well done, but it's hard to resist the lure of that attraction.
Oh, yeah. He was very, very charming, and just exactly my type. So
when you said he started acting in a way that was kind of sus.
Yeah, I felt like he was hiding something, or like he wasn't telling me the full truth. Like I couldn't find him on social media.
What would he have been hiding? A girlfriend or a?
Potentially. I just felt like there was some sort of thing that he wasn't telling me. And I just feel like he was a big manipulator. Like he knew how to play the game. You know, like people who will sort of like replicate your like personality in a way just to make you feel like just the biggest narcissist, you know? Like I couldn't tell if he was in love with me or just the biggest narcissist. So yeah, I really had to cut that one off because it was just my mental health was not good. And I did. And yeah, I'm strong enough now to not go back, which is good because old me would not have been strong enough. So yeah.
Well, I wish you every strength, Kayla Jade, and every joy